Durandus, allow me a few questions which arose while you were talking about the stages of the Jesus prayer. What do you mean by the word heart? According to the teaching of the Holy Fathers, the heart is the center of the spiritual world. Among the many opinions of the Fathers on this subject, I will mention a distinctive one of Saint Epiphanius, Bishop of Constancia in Cyprus. For this reason, we need not in any way define or ascertain in what part of man the image of God is accomplished, but we need to confess that the image of God does exist in man, so that we will not despise the grace of God and disbelieve in him. For whatever God says is true, although his word has to a certain extent escaped our capacity to conceive it. Just as a beam of light, when it falls upon a prism, is refracted and visible from all sides, in the same way the soul expresses itself through the whole human being. When we say the Jesus prayer, however, we fix our attention on the physical organ, on the heart, so that our attention is drawn away from the outside world and brought back again into ourselves, into the deep heart. In this way, the nous, one of the powers of the soul, returns to its home and is united there with the other powers. Allow me a second question. Do all who are enchanted by the enjoyment of God follow the course you have just described to me? Yes, most of them do. There are some, however, who, from the very beginning, seek to unite the nous with the heart by doing breathing exercises. They breathe in the words, Lord Jesus Christ, and exhale the words, have mercy on me. They follow the air as it comes into the nose all the way to the heart, and there they rest a little. This, of course, is done to allow the nous to be fixed on the prayer. The Holy Fathers have also handed over to us another method. We breathe in saying all the words of the Jesus prayer, and we breathe out saying them again. This method, however, requires maturity in spiritual development. By using this way of breathing can cause many difficulties, many problems. That is why it should be avoided, except under the supervision of a spiritual father. It can be used, however, simply to fix the nous on the words of the prayer, so that the nous is not distracted. I repeat, this needs the special blessing, permission of a discerning spiritual father. You said before, Durandus, that the aim of the Jesus prayer is to bring the nous back into the heart. That is the energy, into the essence. We can experience this specifically at the third stage of this holy journey. When, however, you recounted the fifth stage, you referred to a quotation of St. Basil the Great, fleeing all these things, the friend of God withdraws to him. How does the nous come into the heart and depart towards God? Is this perhaps a contradiction? No, it is not, the holy Hermit answered. As the holy and God-bearing fathers teach, those who pray are at a various stage. There are beginners as well as the advanced, or, as they are better called in the teachings of the fathers, those at the stage of praxis, and those at the stage of theoria. For those engaged in praxis, prayer is born of fear of God and a firm hope in him, whereas for those who attain to theoria, prayer is engendered by an intense longing for God and by total purification. The characteristic of the first degree of prayer, associated with praxis, is the concentration of the nous within the heart. When the nous prays to God without distraction, the characteristic of the second degree of prayer, associated with theoria, is the rapture of the nous by the divine light, so that it is aware neither of the world nor of itself. This is the ecstasy of the nous, and we say that at this stage, the nous departs to God. The God-bearing fathers who experience these blessed states describe divine ecstasy as the enrapturing of the nous by the divine and infinite light, so that it is aware neither of itself nor of any other created thing, but only of Him who through love has activated such radiance in the nous. Allow me another question. I was not able to understand the quotation you mentioned before. I sleep, but my heart wakes. Please be so kind as to explain it to me. How is it possible that the heart continues to pray while someone is sleeping? This passage is from the Old Testament book called Song of Songs. It is not difficult to explain. The prophet David says that the man's heart is deep. All the events, all the impressions of the day, and the occupations of the mind go into the depths of the heart, into what we call nowadays the subconscious. So, whatever man is occupied with during the day, the heart will be occupied with these same things at night, when the mind and the human energies rest, and this can be seen clearly in our dreams. St. Basil says that, to a great extent, fantasies during sleep, dreams, are an echo, reflection, of our daily thoughts. Evil occupations and thoughts during the day create evil dreams. The same also happens with good deeds. The ascetic or the man of God in general thinks of God all day long through the Jesus prayer. The remembrance of God by the repetition of the Jesus prayer is his delight. He does everything, whether he eats or drinks, for the glory of God, according to the word of the apostle. It is natural, therefore, that his heart thinks of God and prays even during the few hours of nightly rest. His heart is ever awake.